Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers continue the traction in the 2024 class, landing four-star edge Darien Mayo from the state of Maryland. Obviously, that official visit weekend they had early in June stood out to him because he goes on visits to USC, Ohio State, and at the end of the month, he ends up committing to Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers. Before we get into Darien Mayo, I just want to say thank you to you guys and especially the Clemson fans. Clemson has been hot on the recruiting trail. If you guys have been rocking with us, you know I'm a big recruiting nerd would be the best way to say it. I've been talking a lot of Clemson. You guys have shown a ton of love. So I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. If you do enjoy the updates, you enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. That helps the fellas out. And again, we appreciate just all the support the Clemson fans have shown the boys. Let's get into Darien Mayo. And the first thing that jumps out is just the ceiling that this guy has. And as a Michigan lean, and this guy was considered a Michigan lean for a long time. I, as a Michigan fan, know quite a lot about him. Watched his huddle a couple times. And the biggest thing you see is the frame and the athleticism. And we're going to get into the film in a second. But 6'7", 250 pounds, he's still learning how to use that frame, use that length that he has. But what you see is he's a twitched up guy that can he has the length, he has the twitch, and he has the feet, the athleticism. And he's a dude that's 6'7". You could put on some weight, get him up to 280, kind of play him at that 3-tech, or keep him out on the edge. And quite frankly, I think he has the athleticism and that length and that burst off the line to play that edge position. The ceiling is what you're so excited about for a guy like Darien Mayo. You get him into that program, ideally in that winter session. You get his body right, and you get him coached up in terms of, hey, you have a 6'7" frame. That is a special frame. If you guys remember Andre Carter, kind of a similar frame. You teach him how to use those long arms, how to shed blocks, how to use that leverage. Darien Mayo is a guy that you could see being kind of an all-American type pass rusher. There's a reason he goes to Clemson. You take a look at what Clemson's done on the defensive line, developing guys, Brian Brzee, Miles Murphy going to the draft. You have guys like Rook Tyler Davis, who are going to go to the draft in 2024. Xavier Thomas, knock on wood, stays healthy. He's probably going to go to the draft too. And then you have true freshman Peter Wood, who is just, from what I've heard, I watched the spring game, that dude's an absolute specimen. And so you're taking a look at this defensive line, and you're really excited about what Clemson's going to have in the future. Now, I want to get into Darien Mayo and kind of show you guys just a little bit of what I'm so excited about. And the first thing that is just going to jump off is that he's big, right? And you don't expect guys who are 6'7" to have the kind of feet that Darien Mayo has. Phenomenal athlete for all that size that he has. Really good feet, really good burst off the line of scrimmage too. And when it comes to playing in space, like this dude could drop back in zone coverage and use those long arms to break up some passes as well. See a little spin move like a ballerina, sacks the quarterback. That type of feat for a dude who's 6'7" is truly impressive. And you take a look at his offer list, USC, Ohio State, Michigan. Everyone wanted this kid because he's a big ball of clay. This is really impressive. Lateral movement, beats a block, and then stands up a running back. Like the play strength for someone that's 6'7", that's hard to do when you're 6'7", lowers the pads and kind of makes it happen at the goal line. And Darien Mayo is a dude that, going back to what I was saying about the ball of clay, Darien Mayo is a dude that's green. Like you teach him how to use those hands a little bit better. There he goes using the hands a little bit, little bend around the line of scrimmage, making a play on the quarterback. If you teach him better how to use that frame and use those hands, coach him up, which Clemson has shown the ability to do, that's when you get really excited about a guy like Darien Mayo in terms of all ACC, all-American level edge rusher, because it's all there from a physical tool set. Now you see him just go right through a tackle as well, which is, I mean, when you have the burst and bend around, and then also the ability to use those long arms, get right into a tackle's chest and go right through the tackle, that's when you're really excited about what Darien Mayo brings to the floor. We'll watch one more play, and then I want to talk about, again, just burst that beats the tackle with speed at 6'7". That's when it gets special. Now, I do want to take a look at this 2024 class for the Clemson Tigers because it is really, really coming along, and it's coming along in the month of June, right? Brian Wesco and Sammy Brown, two guys that joined the class this month. This class went from, I think, 7 commits to start the month to 12 commits. A couple of guys, Sammy Brown and Brian Wesco, being 5-star dudes who are going to, I mean, you look at this front 7 with Sammy Brown, Darien Mayo coming in, another guy like Heaven Brown Schuler, who's been committed for a little bit, but out of Georgia, like going down and beating out Georgia and Alabama for a kid like that, you're really excited about that front seven and what Clemson has. And I mean, Death Taxes and Clemson having just an elite front seven. You take a look at what they're having this year: Barry Carter, Jeremiah Trotter, two guys that I think are legit bona fide first-round draft picks. I'm more excited about the wide receivers, though, like Brian Wesco and TJ Moore. It's just been a position that I'm not going to say they haven't recruited well. I mean, Antonio Williams and Adam Randall coming in that 2022 class, I'm excited about. But these guys are difference makers. Like Brian Wesco, twitched up. I mean, an elite track and field athlete. And then TJ Moore, just a big body with really good ball skills. This Clemson class is coming together. Now, one thing you're kind of looking at with this Clemson class and saying, all right, we got to make sure we get that offensive line, right? That's probably, they don't have a single offensive line commit in the fold, but they're looking good for a bunch of guys. Now, going back to that official visit weekend where Clemson had, 20 prospects on campus, it seemed to go really well because you already got 5 of them in the class. And this class could be special, right? KJ Bolden, it sounds like you're fighting Ohio State and Georgia for. Clemson's doing a really good job going down to the state of Georgia and getting those top guys. I wouldn't rule out Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers for KJ Bolden. Mike Matthews, seemingly Tennessee lean, but again, the story is Clemson in on that recruitment as well. Getting down the list, though, I mean, there were some legit studs. Michael Uni, an offensive tackle from Texas, sounds like he's going to Michigan. But you got Casey Poe. That's one of those guys that I think could be a swing tackle as well. He's coming in as an interior offensive lineman, offers from everywhere in the country. A lot of programs high on him. And then Ricardo Jones, this guy trending to Clemson. And you talk about Clemson adding some really enticing prospects in the secondary the last couple classes. Even a guy like Nate Wiggins, who I think is going into his third year, someone I'm really excited about in terms of length. Ricardo Jones, one of the better safeties in the state of Georgia. Clemson really trending for 6'3", 200 pounds, but you see the 6'3" length with speed. That's what you want in your secondary in this day and age of college football. You got to have guys that are good at the catch point and guys that can run with those fast receivers. Clemson, they're not done. That's like the most exciting thing about this program as it stands right now is Clemson had a ton of guys on campus early June. It sounds like that official visit weekend went extremely well. But you take a look at what this 2024 class could become. It's a top 13 class right now with only 11 commits. They haven't added Darien Mayo, who will be their 12th. I don't think it's crazy to see this Clemson Tigers class being a top 8, maybe even top 5 class. And the special thing about Dabo Swinney is, yeah, you want a top 3. You want the number 1 class. Clemson does a really good job of getting their guys in and keeping them in, which is in the modern day of college football, very hard to do and something important. You go look at Texas A&M in 2022's class, easily the best class we've ever seen. Half of that class is already transferred out. Clemson, when you commit to Clemson and you put on the Clemson helmet, you very rarely see those guys leave. And if they do, it kind of just makes sense. Like DJU, it just made sense for him to get a change of scenery. But in terms of just losing talent for like, I want to go get more playing time somewhere else, or I'm a second-year guy and I just don't like the culture fit, rarely see that. So Clemson putting together a top 5, maybe even top 8 class, that's even more beneficial for them because of how good of a job they do keeping their guys in the program to get to year 3, 4, and even 5. I mean, a guy like Tyler Davis going into his 5th year has been a dog for Clemson when healthy for a very long time. Want to wrap it up on that, but Clemson continuing to get it done on the recruiting trail. Appreciate you guys for checking the boys out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.